The billing and invoices review in March. I realized while reviewing the per diem request by Director Fobb, she had included a per diem request for a non-existent board meeting. I believe this was an oversight on Director Fobb's part, as was obvious. When you look at her per diem request, she has done what I suspect what we all have done, which is pre-fill standing meetings to make the data entry easier. It was my intention to address this during the per diems agenda item at the last board meeting and to ask Zach to give us some guidance on what is not an appropriate, what is and is not an appropriate per diem. Over this past month, Zach has spoken to me briefly about the standards we should be following. So I did a review of Director Fobb's per diems going back to September 21, and I've included a matrix that was part of the board packet. At this point, I'm going to ask Zach to give us some guidance as to what is and is not appropriate per diems.
Yeah, so there's no definitive list that I can provide you, but I can tell you that looking at a couple of Director Fobb's entries for fees of office, they very much do not qualify under Chapter 49 of the Water Code. I guess I can read off some examples here. I'd be happy to do that. But 10 hours performance review on Sage letters, 15 hours review bills and invoices, 20 hours of beginning to capture website errors and misleading information. Responding to open records requests. She's actually not seeking a reimbursement there for that one or the following one. What's this one say? Organized and reviewed the photos and court filings against Tierra Blanco property. These are all pet projects of Director Fobb, and they absolutely do not qualify for reimbursement. Y'all all have this on the form as directors whenever you submit. So I encourage you to read it before you submit for a fee of office. Performing the duties of a director means substantial performance of the management or business of the district, including participation in board and committee meetings and other activities involving the substantive deliberation of district business and pertinent educational programs. It does not include routine or ministerial activities such as the execution of documents, self-preparation for meetings, or other activities requiring a minimal amount of time. I think it's only fair of me, having reviewed Ms. Fobb's entries and definitely find that several of them do not qualify for reimbursement, that I'll review her prior submissions, and I will review the rest of the director's prior submissions, and I'll bring back a little report next month. I'll go back, I don't know, I'll start with a year, see how far I make it, and I'll come back with a little report, and I'll let everybody know exactly what I think dollar-wise you might have been paid unlawfully, and then the board can decide what you want to do about it thereafter. There's probably a couple of different enforcement avenues you could take. Again, it's kind of going to be up to you all to decide. You can certainly order a director to repay fees of office that he or she didn't earn. If he or she refuses, then it's up to you to decide what to do next. And I can certainly provide you some guidance should that be the case.
Okay. So are you saying that you want to review us going, I just went back to the fiscal year. You know, that's what I did. Mm-hmm. Do you want to go back further than that?
I think I'll just grab 12 months and start there. Okay.
So I'm just then going to just direct Michael to go ahead and collect those per diems and send them his way, and that's fine. Okay, so then what is your recommendation that we do this month?
I mean, if we're not going to issue fees of office to one director, I think it's fair that no director get them.
Okay.
But again, this is your board, so I'll decide if y'all want to take a different action. That's certainly your prerogative.
Okay. I guess we'll go ahead and everybody can have their say. Why don't we start with Beth? Beth, do you have an opinion as to how we should? Are you okay? Let me just say, are you okay with just saying let's just all forgo fees of office this month?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
It's advice, but it ain't popular advice.
I understand.
No, I think that it's sad that we even have to do that. But if that's what we have to do, that's what we have to do.
Right.
To be clear, it's not what you have to do. I'm just saying it's probably the most equitable thing.
Okay. Okay. Megan, do you have an opinion? I know, you had a big one.
Yeah, I mean, I won't be destitute if I don't get my check, but, you
Big
know,
plans.
I only ever ask for committee meetings or board authorized activity, so, you know, it seems, I don't love the idea of the rest of us having to forego our fees of office for one person.
Okay.
I confess openly that as a former Marine, I do have a if one suffers, we all suffer mentality. But again, I'm not forcing y'all to make this decision, y'all's vote, so I just want to kind
Okay.
of share some of that background and where I get that
Yeah,
from.
no, I understand your completely,
Yeah.
your perspective.
Yeah. My opinion is I'm okay with that also. And I think it's more than totally appropriate for you to do a review. Again, I'm going to say I consider this truly to be a lack of guidance from our previous GC.
Fair enough.
Okay. So I'll stop there. Linda, what's your opinion?
49.060 of the Texas Water Code states that a director is entitled to receive fees of office for each day the director actually spends performing the duties of a director. The Water Code sets in place when a director is entitled to per diems and the oaths we take to shape the duties. Paramount in those duties is upholding the Constitution and laws of jurisdiction. A fiduciary responsibility to the duty of care includes obligations such as the duty to manage assets competently and to be good stewards of the public treasury, to use due diligence in the selection and supervision of staff, to follow the rules and to uphold the Constitution and laws of the jurisdiction. Examples of a breach of this duty include failure to attend meetings, failure to investigate, failure to engage in the deliberative process, and failure to vote. There were 2 meetings in February, Catherine. The one you're claiming didn't occur was on February 14th, which is the day you hired Zach Evans. You'll find agendas and minutes for both February meetings on the district website. Valente Hill self-tour did not incur a fee of office. There is no X in the box. And the review of M1's legal fees in November 2021 had nothing to do with my lawsuit, which was dismissed a month earlier. That investigation was fruitful in February when I discovered the legal fees unreported on the audit report, which was subsequently corrected before finalizing it. The spreadsheet is conjecture and not based on facts. The review of the bills and invoices each month is the responsibility of every member of the board, and my own review has saved this district upwards of $50,000 in overcharges by Infomark and Sage Management in the past 13 months. Errors that the Bills and Invoice Committee allowed to go unchecked, which included paying for services provided to other water districts. This is the duty of the director. The district's ethics policy allows any director to review performance more frequently than once a year as required by the policy. My request to do so was approved by this board and has never been suggested in a public meeting that I not claim a fee of office for performing this duty. In fact, it has been approved by all of you each month for the past 13 months. My investigation led to the discovery of residents being deprived of the rights to their property, fictitious fines being levied against properties and added to water bills, which led to the discovery of Infomark violating the district rules by adding fine amounts in excess of the allowed maximum to targeted residents. It also led to the discovery of Sage's personal financial gain when billing this district outside of their contract terms and with the approval of this board. Every member of this board has been made aware each month, and I have been denied a place on the agenda for 6 consecutive months to discuss it. Investigating and reporting is the duty of a director. Our views on fiduciary responsibility, which is the basis for a director's duty, clearly do not align. Your assertions after the fact are nothing more than punitive. Catherine, your fees of office forms do not contain
Thank
the
you,
required
Linda.
information.
Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
When were you denied, just real quick, Ms. Fobb, when were you denied ability to put items on the agenda? I want to know when that happened.
That was from, I'll have to look at my calendar and all the ones I sent forward. It wasn't with you, it was Allison.
Pre-me.
Pre-you.
Okay, very well.
It was
Well,
pre-you.
I assure you that will not happen on my clock ever again. Mr. Madrano?
Okay, so just so I understand, this spreadsheet that I'm looking at are all fees that, in your opinion, aren't, what's the word I'm looking for, appropriate for per diem, right?
Okay, let me tell you what I did. I went through her per diem list and I just categorized them. I wrote them down and I categorized them. And after having minor conversations with Zach, I categorized them as yes, no, what is it? What was the third one I put in? It was like
Questionable.
questionable, yeah. And that's all you're seeing. And so those were the actual per diems that she was paid, and that was my interpretation based on my limited understanding, my limited conversations with Zach.
Okay, so based on that, Mr. Evans, you're gonna go and do a review of all of our per diems
I'm sorry, go ahead.
and classify whether they are legitimate or,
I just don't know any other equitable way to go about it. You know, I think it'd be chiefly unfair of me to go through one director's reimbursements and provide a recommendation to this board and not go through all of them.
well, I
So,
agree.
Yeah, I mean, so that's where this is coming from.
Okay, all right. I just want to understand what, so it's a process that's it's for all of us, right? We're all gonna
Right,
get.
right, yeah.
I mean, there's things too that are questionable. I probably have one or two out there that I should have done a per diem for. I don't know, are tours part of your per diem? You know, if you take a tour with stage management, you know, those kinds of things.
Okay. Okay. So with that said, you're recommending that we forego all per diems this month? Okay, so,
Again, it's the only fair way I know to do this.
Okay.
I mean, if the board wants to take a different vote, obviously, again, that's your prerogative to do.
Right. Okay, so I'll go ahead and make the motion then. I move that the board forego the per diems for the month of April, that we're going to be paid in April, and Zach will come back to the board after the review of the last 12 months of per diems for the board. I need a second, please.
That's a lot of words. Okay, say it again. We're gonna forego the per
We're
diem.
gonna forego the per diems that were to be paid this month, and Zach is going to do a review of our per diems for the last 12 months and report back to us next month.
Okay, so the checks that we sign, we
Yeah.
don't take them.
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
not,
I'll hold it,
Yeah, we'll hold them and then make
pending determination.
yes,
Okay, I'll second that.
okay. So with that said, okay, we've got a second, okay. Okay, do you have anything you wanted to discuss about it? Anything else?
No, I asked my questions, thank you.
Okay, we ready to take the vote? Okay. Go ahead, call the vote.
Director Jones? Yes. Director Udo?
Yes.
Director Frankie?
Yes.
Director Cobb?
I'm going to abstain from this vote because the approval of these per diems was done prior to McGinnis Lockridge, and if there was an issue, the last attorney should have, the board or the last attorney should have made that clear.
Yes.
Okay. Agenda item 5, consent agenda. And this agenda, the consent agenda includes minutes that were missed last month for August 25th, and I guess that's the only one. And then last month's minutes for March 16th, and the payment of the bills and invoices. Does anybody have any contributions or changes that they want to make to the minutes as they've been presented?
I have corrections.
Okay, you got 3 minutes.
Nothing for 8:25, but on 3:16, agenda item 7, financial report, I did not cast a dissenting vote, I voted no. Agenda item 8, the engineer's report, please include that Herb asserted that TCEQ required the stormwater management program come from the district's engineer. Agenda item 9, manager's report, please include the CMU wall structural assessment conclusion from Zen Engineering that the wall and footing design are not structurally adequate to support the required loading, with the engineer's recommendation to rebuild the portion of the wall and footing determined to be structurally inadequate. Agenda item 12, DRC report, item 12B, 3104 Birch, the resolution that goes with this agenda item in the 7th, whereas the deed restriction violations found at 3104 Birch include parking vehicles and trailers in the roadway, both of which are not violations of the deed restrictions for this section. This is not a true statement. Section 2 through 6 of Anderson Mill West do not prohibit parking any vehicle in the street during the day or night. Trailers, boats, RVs, and the like are specifically prohibited from being visible on the lot. In the street is not a violation unless expressly prohibited, as stated by Attorney Bill Flickinger publicly in his last DRC meeting of the board on February 14, 2022. Agenda item 13, attorney report. Please include that Mr. Evans denied the board an opportunity for discussion, comments, or questions on this agenda item. That's my minute corrections.
Okay.
So just a matter of procedure here, I think probably going around to all the rest of the directors first, if they've got revisions, and then maybe we go back to each one individually, and y'all can take a vote on each individual director's requested revisions. I think that's
Okay.
probably the most
Okay.
efficient way to do this.
Okay. Yeah, in the future, I think that those should be sent to
I did,
Suzanne?
and they kicked him back and said that I needed to do them here.
Yeah, so
Oh, okay.
what I'm gonna ask for the foreseeable future until we wrangle this crew in and we start learning how to work together, what I'm gonna do is y'all will get draft minutes. We will not accept revisions after we send them out or before the board meeting. If y'all wanna come and deliberate on revisions, that's your business, but we're not gonna be changing them in between the draft that we send out in this meeting. We're just not gonna do it.
Okay, okay. Art, did you have any changes that you wanted to make to the minutes?
No.
Okay. Beth, did you have any changes you wanted to make to the minutes?
Do not.
And Megan, did you have any changes you want to make to the minutes?
No.
Okay.
No, we're talking March 16th.
No, we're talking March 16th,
Oh,
right?
there's two sets of minutes.
Yeah, you said you didn't make any changes to
Oh,
April
no,
25th.
you're collecting comments, I thought, on all the minute revisions, in case they had something for
Oh,
825.
I'm sorry. I guess I wasn't clear. Did you have any revisions for the 25th?
For the 25th?
August 25th,
Oh,
2021.
I read it, it looks correct to me. I don't remember a lot of the stuff that we did.
Okay.
So,
Let me be more clear then. Did you have
I
any?
did remember the Boy Scouts coming.
Yeah. Beth, did you have any changes to August 25th?
No.
And Megan, did you have any changes to August 25th?
No.
Okay. So now what I'm hearing you want me to do is we need to decide whether or not we're going to accept the changes that Director Fobb wants to make.
Yeah, I think it's probably most efficient to do it as a whole. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just
Well,
going to.
first and foremost, I
Yes.
mean, somebody needs to make a motion, I guess, to adopt those revisions. So I presume that Director Fobb would want to make that motion, given that they're hers. But I don't know. I don't want to speak for you.
I can do that. I make a motion that the minutes be amended or modified to include the corrections that I offered.
I'll second.
Before you cast a vote, Board, I want to make very clear that we do not play favorites in our minutes. It's not a direct recitation of everything that happened during a meeting. If you want that, watch the video. The minutes are not meant to put your conjecture in there or comments about what somebody did or did not say. It's not what they're for. That's all I have.
Okay. Art, do you have any discussion that you want to just about the minutes?
No, for
Okay.
March 16th?
Yeah.
Just the changes to Linda, I guess.
Okay. Beth, do you have any changes that you want to make?
Do not.
Okay. Megan, how about you?
I mean, some of those were pretty substantive, and so, just having them read once, I can't necessarily, I feel like we're back to quibbling over how much detail we put in the minutes again, and,
I agree.
as Mr. Evans just said, they're not supposed to be a transcript of everything that we all said, so, if we go down this road of, well, let's add this, and let's add this, and then we come to the meeting, and I don't have time to sit and think about each thing that she said, and, well, should we put that in or not? And so it seems like if they're accurate,
Yes.
as they are, and there's not an error, then if someone wants to watch the rest of the meeting, they can watch the rest of the meeting.
Okay. Okay, so my comment sort of is going to mirror yours. I think that there was an awful lot of, it was very detailed, and Linda was adding her interpretations of the deed restrictions as it related to 3104, which I think we're gonna come to the conclusion are not accurate. So I'm just gonna say right now, I'm not in favor of making these changes. And so I'm gonna go ahead and call the previous question, and we're gonna close debate. And we're going to vote, okay?
We were already on the vote?
Yeah, we're gonna vote. So go ahead and call the vote.
Director Pedrano?
Yes.
Director Claude?
Yes.
Director Frankie?
No.
Director Duda?
No.
No.
Okay, so what is, we now reached the point where we do not like the way, we don't like her
Right, so
interpretation.
set that aside, and
I'm
now
sorry.
you just need to vote on the minutes themselves as
Okay,
presented.
okay, that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so I move that we,
Madam President, I just remind you pursuant to the rules that y'all adopted last month.
Yes, please help me.
The president does have to give another director the opportunity to provide a motion first. If no
Oh.
director does so, then the president has that right.
I would love not to have to make the motion.
All right, well, you got four other directors up here, I'm sure we'll have
Okay.
to do that for you.
Okay, I need somebody to make a motion that we,
And I wouldn't, I'm sorry, let me just, so,
you don't want me to lead them?
I don't want you to coach anybody.
Okay.
Yeah, it's up to everybody here's a grown up, they can think for themselves, they can make their own
Okay.
motion if they wish to do so. That's how I would present that.
Okay, I need.
Sorry, I have a question here. Are we voting just on the minutes because
Yeah.
this is a consent agenda?
Yeah, we're just voting on the
Pulled it
minutes.
off?
Yeah,
Okay.
clearly this has been pulled off, so
Yeah.
just by default of the discussion alone.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from August 25th and March, what is it, 16th.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay. Okay,
Director Pedrano?
Yes.
Director Claude?
Are we not having any discussion?
You just did.
yeah,
No.
Director Frankie?
yes.
Director Duda?
Yes.
Director Jones?
Yes.
Okay, now we're going to finish up the rest of the consent agenda. So the consent agenda is the payment of the bills and invoices and the quarterly investment report. Could somebody remind us what's going on with the quarterly investment report? Was there actually anything that needed to be, was there actually anything presented this month?
It was included in the financials packet.
Okay.
I did also include the December quarter end, which the board had already approved. I had a typo on it, I want to correct that.
Got it.
But none of the numbers changed.
Okay.
And so, other than that, it's a requirement that the board review them and that your investment officers review and approve them.
Okay.
Sign them.
Okay.
I want to point out, Madam President, and the rest of the directors, that we did unfortunately miss the financials agenda item that we typically would have. I can't remember if y'all usually do them at the beginning or the end, but we typically have them at the end for most districts. It's all y'all's decision how you want to do that in the future. But given that, this might be an appropriate time for Mr. Luff to provide the financial debriefing, I think.
Oh, it was totally missed?
Yeah, and that's an oversight on my part. I'll take responsibility for that.
Okay, you got 3 minutes.
All right, page 5 of the financials that I presented, worth noting that for the month, the district is about 19,000 behind revenue. That's the water and wastewater. We straight lined it this year. We expect that during summer, as you begin to, as the higher rates come in, you'll catch up. I will not straight line it next year. I will smack someone and make sure we seasonalize that. So we're about 23,000 behind budget on revenue thus far this year. On the administrative expenditures, about 4,000 better than budget for the month, 18 for the year. Page 6, about 27,000 better than budget. On operations and maintenance for the month, about 72,000 better than budget for the year. System maintenance running about almost 11,000 over budget. That's basically the trees and trimming. We straight line that budget. Most of the trees and trimming budget that we're going to use this year, we've done. So it's coming faster than we had it budgeted. For the year, we're within just a little over 1,000 under budget. Parks and Trails, pretty much close to budget, all of them. Capital projects, haven't done much work on those, so we're almost 20,000 better than budget for the month and almost 60,000 for the year. That puts us bottom line about almost 18,000 better than budget for the month and almost 140,000 better than budget for the year. Page 11, the taxes, almost 98% collected, very close to last year's collection rate at this point. Jumping to page 14, you can see the operating fund balance projection that will end at about 2.5 million instead of the 2.4 that we originally projected. The check registers on payment registers on 15 through 22. Wanted to note check number 55, 58 to Infomart for, it says here March, it's actually the April regular monthly fee. Because that invoice got processed early, before the new contract had been finalized that removed the prepaid maintenance, it was on it. We tried to get them to kick that one back and give us a replacement. They didn't, so we credited off the $9,088 prepaid maintenance. Related to that, the 6 months for the $54,528, I received the check from Infomart yesterday. So that's been returned to the district. I'll get that deposited. We have a grand total of $352,348.09 on the payment register. Pages 23 and 24 show the transfers for the month. 26 and 27 show the quarterly investment reports that we talked about. And the rest of the report is the do not exceed and then the fees of office requests that we received for this month. So for the second month in a row, I included those as part of the packet. And that's all I had to present.
Okay.
What did I come in at?
257. Okay, so this is my question. You rattled off 352, 348.09. That's the check register.
Yes.
Okay, we need to adjust that number because we're going to hold back the checks, right?
Yes.
Okay, so can you give me a new number?
You could just simply, whatever your motion is going to be, and it should be, I presume, to adopt the consent agenda.
Yes.
That's what would be items B and C, with the caveat that you withhold those checks. You don't need to add them up.
Okay, somebody make a motion for me then.
On this amount?
No. To adopt the consent agenda? I'm sorry, I'm mentoring.
Right. Just to adopt the consent agenda, because right now all you have left is item 5B and 5C. So you'll take those up as the same item, but given the fact that we're withholding checks, the motion should include a directive for Infomart to withhold those directors' checks.
You want me to make a motion?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I make a motion to do what
Zach?
Zach
So
said.
eloquently.
I got it.
Okay.
Do I read the amount of the check register?
No, we don't need to do that. Okay.
I need a second.
Yes, I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, you want to go ahead and call?
We need discussion after
Okay.
a second.
Okay, so. Hold on. Go ahead.
There's actually not supposed to be discussion on the consent agenda in general. That's why it's called a consent agenda. It's
Got
because
it.
you had a responsibility to review it before we got here, and obviously we have some discrepancies tonight. We'll make sure that doesn't happen in the future, but that's the whole point of having a consent agenda is move your business along. So I encourage the board to make a motion to adopt or not adopt. I don't care, just move along.
Okay,
You're not going to back up right now.
okay. Go ahead and call the vote then.
Director Jones?
Yes.
Director Duda?
Yes.
Director Frankie?
Yes.
Director Fobb?
No.
Director
Yes.
Okay, agenda item 6.
Just as a point
Yeah.
for the audience, for the directors, so there's no miscommunication, I might encourage you, Madam President, after a vote is taken, either I can do it or you can do it if you
Okay.
prefer, just to announce what the decision is. In this
Oh.
case, it would be the ayes have it, the
Okay.
consent agenda is adopted 4-1. I'd be
Okay.
happy to do that if you want.
Yeah, you can do
Okay.
that.
All right, very
Okay.
well.
Yeah, okay. Agenda item 6, we have the engineer's report.
All right, on item 6A, status of submittal of the district's final storm water management program to the TCEQ is required. That information, we did review that package. That actual document is no longer required to be sealed. So that took that away, that requirement and fee associated with that. We did go through there and provide comments back to Infomar, and they did actually finish the filing of that document. So that's all done, and just as a note, it was $1,500 under budget, so
Okay.
just as a comment.
6B.
As far as the infrastructure with the PEC light project, that's kind of a question mark.
Mackenzie, do you have anything about
We
that?
don't have anything new other
No-
than.
Nothing, no, nothing that it's going on,
Mm-mm.
right,
Nothing
okay,
out of what we've already discussed.
okay. 6B2, status of the Phase 6 district sidewalk maintenance.
We met with the contractor a couple of weeks ago, verified the locations and limits. Few adjustments were made, all the, including the picking up of the additional location as noted last month. They revised the proposal, it's still under the $18,000 that was approved as a not to exceed, and the work should be started early next week. And they're anticipating 2 weeks, assuming no weather or anything else of that nature comes in.
That's great. 6B3, advertising of the decomposed trail maintenance.
That project has been out there. We've put together plans, we put together specifications, and we've actually reached out to 4 different vendors, contractors who do this type of work, just to have some kind of preliminary discussions about cost. The numbers are, if they're going to, I think the bid will be too close to the $75,000 mark. I think it would be in your interest to advertise the project instead of delaying it on and on and on to solicit and then not be able to take action and then fall back and advertise. So the recommendation would be that you consider advertising this project to solicit bids.
Okay, and if I remember correctly, was it last month we decided to not move forward because we wanted to wait for the results of the park survey?
I think that was the Madeline Luke Sanchez.
Oh, it was, okay, I'm remembering the wrong
No,
thing.
actually, we did the trail maintenance the month before,
Okay, okay. Okay, so,
until the park plan was complete.
okay. No, I think that it was that we wanted to find out where the trail maintenance ended up in the park plan, right?
Yes.
And it was like the number one thing, right? Okay, that's what I want, I'm remembering it correctly. Okay, so you have a recommendation that we do what?
I would suggest that the board consider advertising, allowing our office to get the advertisement started to put this project out for bid.
Okay. Okay, so we need a motion for the same.
You want a motion?
Yeah, don't we?
My motion that we advertise the work for the DG Trail and create a solicitation for bid, correct?
Yeah, okay,
I'll second that.
okay. And, Beth, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay. Megan, do you have any questions on this project?
No.
I do not have any questions or any comments on this project other than the fact that it needs to get done. Megan, I'm sorry, Linda, do you have any questions?
I have a comment.
Yes, comments.
Herb worked with the Parks Committee to come up with the budget amount of $80,000 while working with them on the park plan. Now the Infrastructure Committee is proposing the work to be done. This is a park project, not infrastructure, and trail maintenance is included in the park plan. As I recall, the board voted to hold off on this $80,000 project until after the park plan was presented to the board and voted on. The August 25th, 2021 minutes in the packet tonight include Astor Pass Pond Trail maintenance presented in a report by the Parks Committee further supporting this as a park project and is included in the park plan. We agreed to look at the assessment to determine if these things were going to be done at all And if you approve this part of the park plan without looking at the assessment, that is your cart before your horse.
Okay. Art, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Well, I motioned for it, but she's correct, that this is a Parks Committee issue, so.
Okay, so,
Catherine, can I respond?
Sure.
Is that appropriate? Okay, so a couple of things. This is one of those things, trail maintenance, that kind of spans two different committees. It's infrastructure because a lot of the trails are around ponds, and the infrastructure committee has historically handled the installation of the trails. It's parks because it's also included in the park plan. It's just one of those things that could be handled by either or. In this case, because Herb works so closely with the infrastructure committee, attends all of their meetings, he's kind of been putting it as more of an infrastructure-led thing. We don't have Herb attend our meetings as a matter of practice unless we really need him to try to save the district money. So it's a lot easier for him to work with the committee he's already working with all the time on this. Regarding whether or not we hold off on maintenance for the park plan, we budgeted for this item at the beginning of the year, knowing full well that we didn't have the park plan done yet because we all believed that this was maintenance that was long overdue, and regardless of what the park plan says, we're not going to stop maintaining the things that we have, and that we owe it to the community to maintain what we have regardless of what we end up thinking about doing in the future. So continuing to hold off on doing basic maintenance on our existing facilities until we get the park plan just doesn't seem like what I would support doing. So this, we can keep saying wait till the park plan, wait till the park plan, wait till the park plan. And to me, it's just an excuse to hold off on making any investments in our parks. So
okay, let's go ahead and call the vote.
Director Jones?
Yes.
Director Duda?
yes.
Director Frankie?
Yes.
Director Bob?
I'm going to abstain. Once again, it appears that 4 members of the board on 2 separate committees have been working outside of a public meeting to move this project
Ma'am,
forward.
if you're going to sit here and make accusations that other directors have broken the law, you are violating the rules that this board adopted and
said
you voted on,
it
okay?
appears-
You are making accusations and
No.
insinuations about other directors. I'm not going to have it, okay? So correct your course of action and speech right now. Do not talk or insinuate other people have broken the law, okay? We're not going to do that. You adopted those rules just like everybody else,
I hear
okay?
you.
Move on.
Voting on a park plan initiative prior to the board seeing and voting on the plan and its implementation and maintenance costs, or the required assessment of other park facilities in the immediate vicinity violates 49.465 of the Water Code, because the district has not established findings related to recreational
What are we
facilities.
doing right now? Let's just call in the vote. Yes or no?
That's my,
Yes or no?
that's my answer to, I
Madam?
abstain.
Madam, okay, then move on.
That's what I was doing.
Okay, Ms. Fogg abstains, Suzanne, thank you. Mr. Madrano?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, and 6B4, proposal for the hatch lift station.
Yes, on that one, last month we had discussed, our office had been requested to provide a proposal to replace all of the equipment within the hatch lift station. We have done that, each has been included within the packet this month. That information is all-inclusive, it takes care of the design and specifications, electrical and mechanical, whatever comes up in that. Looking at this in a deeper detail after we were authorized to start looking at this, the one item that really comes to play is this is a maintenance project because we're not changing any of the equipment. We're not upsizing the pumps. The electricals will be moved from down below to up top. So with that, as being a maintenance project, there will not be any involvement or requirements to submit to TCEQ or even the city of Cedar Park under their ETJ. And the results was, if you move forward, this project could go a lot quicker than what we had initially anticipated without that knowledge. Also, looking at the cost, I think we're looking at an equipment cost of closer to the neighborhood of 350 to 400,000. Not that huge number that was just thrown out as a swag last month as a seaway.
So I heard about $500,000 with your services included,
Yes,
more or less?
and that neighborhood, I think that's probably on the high end of everything, but as equipment costs go, I'm not going to guarantee much right now. It's changing.
Okay, so, somebody want to make a motion?
Well, okay, first of all, so we're gonna continue, is this for next year's funds or this year? I wonder.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. If I remember correctly, in the infrastructure committee, we talked about, the actual implementation being a future budget, but the planning process, because we figured it was gonna take a year.
Initially, yes, and where we're at, as we discussed at the last meeting, is now we could be in a position to actually have the plans, the contracts, everything in place, ready to advertise, because this will obviously be an advertised project for, even though it's maintenance, to do so in the September timeframe, such that in October, November, next fiscal year, you can decide whether or not you wanted to do this project. Gives you time to look at your budgets for next year to see if you wanted to do it or not.
Okay, so, but the design, your part, your front end part, which I think was $60,000 or something like that.
It's broken out, 63, 15, 15, 15.
Yeah, the services are all broken out.
It's 108,000 total.
Yeah,
Okay.
somewhere on there, yeah.
So some of it's gonna be this fiscal year, some of it's gonna be next fiscal year. Okay, okay. So where do we stand from?
Michael had actually answered some emails for a different director on this, and we kind of talked about, well, they kind of talked about how we didn't have the same kind of budget structure that we did last year. Y'all did away with the special projects line for engineering this year, which
Okay.
is something that you typically always have. I think that y'all foresaw that the engineering costs would be less this year, so we'd have to pull and stretch in a few areas that we probably aren't necessarily prepared to do, but we looked at it from that standpoint, thinking you'll have that special line that you always have and you don't.
But didn't we offset it with something else?
No, actually, what happened is that you had a 70,000 budget for special engineering special projects in prior fiscal year, and ran had over 100,000 in it, and the decision as we worked through the budget was that
We wouldn't need it this year.
yeah, the board did not want to spend that much on engineering. So the decision was to remove that line and to put all of the base engineering work, including the special projects, in the engineering line, which stayed at the same 40,000 from one year to the next. So the belief was that somehow, that 160,000 in engineering would turn into 40,000 this year. That has not happened. In terms of the question of whether you want to have, as we go into the next year, a budget line for things like this, where you want something that you know is outside of your normal scope, whether you have an engineering special line for it, or what the other thing that you typically do, and you did do in this budget, is to create a special project under the capital project / outlay section, and track the costs in that. And in this case, that was not done for this. That's, say you're in an area where you're doing something that you didn't have budgeted.
So this is the two-part thing. We're gonna have to allocate 108,000 for Herb's work, the precursor to the construction phase, which will fund next year, right? Which is below what we were gonna estimate of, what, 1.5 million, something like that?
It was like, something crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the project now is a third of what we were originally looking at, but we didn't time it right from a budgeting point of view. That's what I'm hearing, guys.
Yes, correct.
And the design phase, from this to start and do the design phase and the construction documents, you're looking at 63,000, not 108, right?
Okay, so do we have $63,000 somewhere in the budget that we can move
Not
around?
in the budget,
Not in the budget.
but you are running 163,000 better than budget right now.
So-
You have, budgeted $247,000 in various projects that most of which you won't do. So, or at least at this point, does not look like it'll do by the end of the year. So, the question, as always, is, it depends on how you look, and the answer is, how do you look at it from the budget? No, you don't have a budget for this. But yes, you have the opportunity to determine that you wish to do it anyway and decide, well, we're probably not going to do the capital outlay for the lift station for $50,000, say, or the $45,000 for the playscape. You have projects that you might have thought you were going to do this year, but you realize now, given where we're at, that you might not. And then that might be the determination that you want to, effectively reallocate.
Okay.
Or, and then the other option is you can just simply decide, no, this needs to be done, and that we recognize that it's an unbudgeted item. And if you really wanted to decide you want to do that, you could also then amend the budget and say, we changed our mind, we realized this is something we want to do, and we want to reflect that in an amended budget.
Okay.
Something else
So,
to consider.
a lot of options, I'm sorry.
Something else to consider is you don't have the line item for the cap anymore either, as a cash flow.
Right.
So
Though that's
something
not
else.
actually a line item on the budget.
It's not
because the
budgeted?
cap. Right, because the expenses were budgeted in each one of their
Yeah, you're right.
elements.
They're different for the
The
ones-
cap is something that was on the balance sheet, so it's
Correct.
not part of your budget. It's part of the financials, but it's not part of the budget.
So scratch that.
The actual work was in all of the various
Right.
departments.
So what are the risks if we don't do this here, but we wait to fund the whole thing until next year,
You're pushing back again.
pushing back the lift station?
I think because you have a 50K line for, what was that for the lift station?
50K.
For what though?
Capital outlay lift, I think that was to,
Was that a
for
pump?
pumps.
Yeah, we put.
Yeah, that was
Yes,
the
thank you,
part that y'all
yes.
decided not to do. So you have at least 50K of that initial 63. So you're looking technically for the 13 because y'all have already voted not to add the second one.
Okay, so my next question, can we take it from somewhere else?
Well, like you said, you're already doing 163 better than budget right now. That money is there. So technically, yes, but there's not a specific budget or bucket I can tell you to pull it from.
Okay.
So Zach, if this isn't a line item on our budget, can we make a motion to increase the budget?
Yeah, it's just like Michael said, you can adopt an amended budget, but you can come back and do that next month. It's
Yeah.
not anything you gotta
Well,
do right now.
my personal opinion, that we start him this year, and he does all the precursor to the construction phase.
Right.
And part of the 63,000 is construction too, right, Herb?
No, that gets you up to the bidding and construction.
Oh, okay, so it's the scope and,
We will have the project ready for.
oh, okay, yes, final plans and specifications.
Yeah.
Okay. But the construction phase services, the engineering services, all those, are those construction or are those pre-construction?
These construction support is on page 22 of your item. That is after you've bid, we start bidding the project through the rest of the construction.
So if we allocate 63,000 now, and then the remaining portions, which is, what, 45,000?
Be part of the next year's budget.
Would that work? Would that work if we
Yeah, that's what we talked about in the infrastructure. If you could do the 63 this year, the rest of it, along with the cost.
Well, we allocate for the project fund.
You can start, if you can budget, you budget that for next year, October 1, and you're good.
That make sense?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, shoot, I lost it. Okay, we're done.
I know.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so, do I make a motion?
Make a motion.
I make a motion that we allocate $63,000 for the final plans and specifications on the Hatch lift station for Gray Engineering to start finalizing those specifications, and then when the new fiscal year will include the other $45,000.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yes. Okay, can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So Beth?
Yes. Okay, Beth, do you have any questions or comments?
I think it's great because it looks like we're only missing 13 for this year, so it's, yes.
Okay. Megan, do you have anything to add?
No, this may have already been said, but we are already over budget for just engineering, just in general, already at halfway through the year. Not her fault, just we didn't budget very well. But yeah, if we can do that, take that 50 from that cap outlay, then yeah.
Okay. Okay, and I'll go ahead and say, I think that we should go ahead and move forward with this budget item.
For 63,000.
Yeah, and Linda, what do you have any comments?
I have questions for Herb. Herb, is a generator required at that lift station now?
You're supposed to have a dual obligation during the design. We're going to look at putting an alt generator in there, and that eliminates your operators having to drag out a generator, and you maintain service that way.
We don't have a generator at any other lift station, do we?
Correct.
Okay, so this will be the first one. And is the stormwater pollution prevention plan necessary for this project?
That is, in that area, that location, there will be no adjustments required for that.
There will not be. Okay. That's all I have.
Okay, and Art, did you have any other things you want to add? Okay. Okay, let's call the vote.
Director Jones?
Yes.
Director Duda?
Yes.
Director Frankie?
Yes.
Director Faub?
Yes.
Director McDonough?
Yes.
Votes 5-0, Madam President, the ayes have it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, agenda item 7, general manager's report.
Okay, so, y'all want to scroll on to page 8 of mine? If y'all need time to get there, I can get there.
Okay, hold on.
Marked folder. The infrastructure committee met and we all kind of talked about some additional options that we can do to test for the issues with water accountability. One of those is that your commercial meters have not been calibrated, since I'm not entirely sure when. It's not a standard as far as what you should or shouldn't do. Everyone believes in it differently for the different meter sizes, but that's going to be a first step to make sure that they're all registering your flows correctly. And I highballed you on that 7,500. It actually came in right at 3,500. So we had, I don't know if Art and Kathy all remember us discussing that, but that will test all of the meters within the commercial meters for the district, all of your 1 inch, your 1.5, and your 3 inches, which is all that you have. And they'll basically come out, your 3 inch meters will be field tested because they can be, but anything smaller than that actually has to be brought in. So they will switch out a meter, bring it in, and do in-house test, I believe is what it's called. It's the same calibration test. They test them in-house and then they take them back if they're reading accurately, and they'll provide us a report per meter on what the accuracy ratings were. So this is what the infrastructure committee wanted to recommend as the first step here. And then going beyond that, if our meter calibrations come back within range and we don't have any crazy outliers, that would deem this to be the main issue for the water accountability. The next step is going to be to do a district walkthrough where we have techs from the collections and distributions team that will actually walk the district property. Instead of just looking at the lines inside, you're going to be looking at the ground outside where you will have leaks. You will have patchy green areas where there shouldn't be patchy green areas. They'll walk all of the parks, they'll walk all of the ponds, and if they find water anywhere, they will test it for chlorine. If it has chlorine in it, they will trace it back to where it's coming from. So that's what our two things are. So my report says 7,500 to fluid meter services. We're going to change that to 3,500 because it did not come in as high as they told me that they thought it would. I thought we had more 3-inch meters, but we don't. And then that next one is not to exceed of 8,000. It was y'all's recommendation to have both approved. That way when the meter calibrations come back, we don't have to wait for another board meeting to get the second approved.
Okay, so you're looking for a motion.
A motion to approve 3,500 not to exceed the fluid meter services to do the calibration of all of the commercial meters within the district. I think you should do these as two separate motions.
Yeah, I
So that
agree.
would be the first one.
Okay, Art, you want to take that on, please?
I'll make the motion for the not to exceed $7,500.
No, 35.
Huh? No, 35, I'm sorry, $3,500 to, from the infrastructure committee.
Okay, I'll go ahead and second that. Beth, do you have any questions?
No.
Megan, do you have any questions?
No.
Linda, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, Art, do you have any more questions? Okay, let's call the vote.
Director McDonough?
Yes.
Director Cobb?
Yes.
Frank?
Yes.
Director Rita?
Yes.
Director Jones? Yes.
Votes 5-0, Madam President, the ayes have it.
Okay, your next motion will be an Intermark C&D crew walkthrough for not to exceed of 8,000. That's going to be 3 crew members, the mule and a truck, and they will walk the district for, I think we've budgeted for 3 full days to be here.
On a tangent, I know it's bad, but what's our, what's it? 83? Oh, wow, really?
We've gone up a bit, but not much.
Okay.
We're still hovering around
Okay.
that 80.
All right, so I make a motion for not to exceed of $8,000 for Infomark to walk the, and collect the, with the distribution team, to walk the district, check for green patches of grass, wet spots, trickling water, etc.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Beth, do you have any questions?
I do not.
Megan, do you have any questions? No. Okay, the question I have is this something that can be done with a drone or something like that, about, the walkthrough?
No, because if they find water, they have to test it.
Okay,
So beyond that, we test it for chlorine. If it has chlorine in it, we trace it back to its source. That's the big problem there, is you can't test water that you see by a drone. And a lot of times what they can do is, because you're in your detention ponds, the inlets and the outlets are big enough for guys to walk through. I don't know how you would navigate a drone through, but they'll
Okay,
take however
okay.
many steps inside that they can to see. They can try to locate the source. If it's coming from a crack within the wall or something like that, they can check it from there, and then you'll know you have an infiltration leak of some sort by the main line.
okay, okay. Linda, do you have any questions?
I'm just not so sure that walking the district is going to be, for $8,000 is going to help us, since we've been looking for these leaks now for a year. I can support hiring a specialist in the field of leak detection to resolve the problem once and for all. And I would embrace a message to the community that says, help, we're looking for lost water, complete with guidelines on what to look for, like a scavenger hunt. However, I cannot support throwing more money at Infomark while they try to figure it out, because it's been a year now, and leak detection is part of your base fee.
Okay, Art, do you have any more questions?
No.
Okay. Let's go ahead and call the vote.
Well, I do have one thing. So, walking this special team that walks the.
They
this is-
specifically
this
work
is
on
outside the
collections and
scope.
distributions. Yeah, it's not included in your scope. This team is a specialized team in collections and distributions, and they service all of your line breaks, wastewater and water. They're the team that come out and fix any of those. They are the ones that do specifically that work. They
So
don't
they're
do
specialists
anything
in
else.
that field.
Technically, yeah, they are. They don't do anything else for Infomark other than that. There's a crew chief that will be on it and 2 team members.
Yeah, I agree with you. They need somebody with expertise. So, yes, that's all I had.
Okay. Go ahead.
Director Madrano?
Yes.
Director Bob?
No.
Director Frankie?
Yes.
Director Vito?
Yes.
Director Jones?
Yes. All right, next
Ayes
up on
have
our
it 4-1,
list.
Madam President.
Sorry, Zach.
No, you're all right.
Next up on our list is, we have a customer leak adjustment. We always bring these to the board for approval if they end up being over 200. This one was 20103. We have the bill that came in, the plumbing bill, where they've already made their repair, which is the district standard. We've calculated it under your standard calculation, so we just asked the board to approve the 20103 back to the customer. What happened is she's had a leak since, I believe, July of last year. However, she didn't investigate it herself, and it didn't come across to us as anything super, super high for her. What we did do, though, is because you only allow for 3 months worth, we took her 3 highest months and gave them back to her since it's been so long. So that's why the calculation is a little over 200.
Okay. So, we've got 2 of them. Why don't we do them
We
together?
need a second one.
Yeah, you can do them together. So the second one is not the same. It's not a leak adjustment, it's a reimbursement. This customer had reached out to us. He ended up starting his sprinkler system several months after his meter had been changed out. He is under the belief that the meter change out caused a clog in his sprinkler system. I can tell you that we have never had that happen before, but being that we can't justifiably 100% put our foot down to say it wasn't that, we want to pay 50% of his bill, so that's actually Infomark paying for that. I have to have it approved by the board because y'all will see it come out and we will provide a credit amount.
Okay, so let me understand. I spoke to this gentleman. He's my neighbor. He lives across the
Yeah,
street.
I know, he told me to talk to you.
Okay, so you changed out the meter in January.
January, and
Okay.
he
He
did not
started
run
the
his sprinkler
irrigation
until
in-
March.
And then the guy who services irrigation, some Green Lawn or something,
Yeah.
told him that that Infomark caused the solenoid to get clogged up.
We are in different odds here, but however, when I've spoken to Mr.
No, I'm just saying, how do they prove that? I mean, I don't want to, every time somebody's sprinkler goes out, I don't want to say, hey, well, you guys changed out a meter, you caused it.
I
There's no
understand.
correlation that I see.
I didn't either, but this gentleman was rather distraught and upset, and so this is what we were willing to offer. It's up to the board to approve it. That's part of the reason why we bring it to you guys for your discussion and deliberation.
Well, why didn't you bring this technician and tell us exactly what the issue was?
I'm not sure, but I gave him the information to come to the meeting.
Okay, so Infomark, you're
We
gonna,
would be reimbursing him 50% of his irrigation repair bill.
Is that just 227.32?
So that, I list that out because y'all will see it come out, because it'll go on his bill as a refund back to him, and then we will credit memo y'all,
So you're extending him an olive branch, basically?
essentially.
I'd recommend y'all take these in separate votes.
yeah, I do too. I'm thinking the same thing. Let's go ahead and,
Vote on the first one, vote
Yeah.
on the leak adjustment.
okay, yeah, so somebody make me a motion.
I'm not gonna make that.
Okay, make me a motion.
It's a different one, it's the first one, Art.
For the first one, right?
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
first one, you're not doing them together.
Well, first one, I make a motion for 201
Okay.
and 3 cents for the leakage detection and
No, it's a leak adjustment.
Yeah.
leak adjustment, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I need a second.
Yeah, I'll second that. Okay. Beth, do you have any questions about it?
I do not.
Megan, do you have any questions about it?
No.
There's nothing unusual about this.
No, that one's standard, it's just
Okay.
because it's over 200, we bring it to the board.
Got it. Linda, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, Art?
No,
Okay, let's call the vote.
Director Madrona,
yes.
Director Fobb,
Yes, who did the second?
I
Catherine.
did, yeah.
Thank you.
Director Frankie,
Yes.
Director Dudo,
Yes.
Director Jones.
Yes.
Okay, so the next one is a 227.32. And basically here's a squeaky wheel is what I'm hearing. Okay. Does somebody want to make a motion?
Well, let me ask you this. Do we have to make a motion? Because Infomark is saying that they'll pay it. They'll pay them. If
Well,
you
it's
guys-
coming out of the district's funds,
Oh,
that's the
well,
problem,
no.
so you do.
Okay, I'm
But
not
we
gonna
would
do it.
reimburse you for that, you'll have a credit memo to show the two canceling out, but because it comes from the district funds to pay it back to that customer, it has to come to the.
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I motion that Infomark, or that his customer gets reimbursed for his sprinkler repairs at $227.32, and for Infomark to reimburse the district that expense.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Art, do you have any comments or questions?
I just have trouble with this because, we're setting the precedence again. So I'm going to vote no.
Okay, Linda, do you have any more questions or comments?
No.
This is giving me an upset stomach too. I have problems with it. Megan, do you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same place. On the one hand, it's like if Infomark wants to do it, but we have already had interesting conflicts associated with the meter change out with, people being concerned about them. And so are we setting a precedent that
Yeah.
if somebody comes and says, well, your new meter caused X, Y, and Z,
Yeah.
I don't really know, I'm not really sure how to feel about that.
Yeah.
Well, if he came with evidence,
Right.
and saying, hey, there was a clog of the leaf in there. Still, they can't pin it on Infomark doing the, right? I
It was
just,
also not located near the meter.
yeah, he showed me where it was. It's at least 30 feet away.
You did.
So that's my issue. I'm a little closer to it than you are, but
Beth, did you have any comments or questions?
I know it's minuscule money, but
Fine.
Okay, go ahead, let's call the vote.
Director Jones?
I'm gonna say yes this time.
Director Dudo?
No.
Director Frankie?
No.
Yes.
Director Andrade?
I vote no.
No.
By a vote of 2 to 3, the motion fails, Madam President.
Okay, thank you.
Lastly, on my agenda, there's no amount to approve here. Linda had actually asked for this one on behalf of the Solid Waste Committee. I didn't hear any rebuttal from Art, so I assume he agrees. City of Cedar Park is hosting a hazardous waste day, and it's open to the WTC residents according to Ms. Bob. She reviewed all of that, and she would like to include a insert on the bill, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Are you wanting to?
A note on the bill.
Just a note in the note section, so it's just to let you guys know that we're gonna go ahead and do that as long as the full board is okay with it. We'll include some details and then I'll link back to the website. She's also requested putting the mobile sign out. The only two locations that you are allowed to do that due to property rights is within the parking lots. We've never put it anywhere else. And you have to be able to maneuver in and out with a truck attached to that. So we can put the mobile sign out here in North Anderson Mill West. And I think we've put it at Hatch Pond before, so we can, I think, attempt to do that as well. We've never put it anywhere else.
Okay, so do you need a motion approving that?
Yeah, we would like a motion because it's going to be something that goes on the bill to all of the customers. So just a motion to approve an insert on the bill as far as a line item to address the hazardous waste day being open to the residents, and then we'll distribute the mobile sign whenever.
Okay, Linda, why don't you go ahead and make that motion?
I motion that Infomark put a notice on the water bill about the Cedar Park hazardous waste program and put the mobile sign out now so that they can start preparing to gather their stuff.
Okay, I'll go ahead and second that. Beth, do you have any questions or comments?
I do not.
Okay, Megan, do you have any questions or comments?
No.
My question is, what's the date?
I didn't take it off.
May 14th, I believe.
Oh, okay. Linda, do you have any questions or comments?
No.
And Art?
No.
Okay, call the vote, please.
Director Jones?
Yes.
Director Dudo?
Yes.
Director Frankie?
Yes.
Director Fab?
Yes.
Director Andrade?
Yes.
Ayes have it, Madam President.
Okay.
That concludes my to-do items for the manager's report. Next up on the agenda is the status of the fence repair at Valente Hills. Viking has that on their schedule. They should be starting it very soon. They have your gates on special order and all of that ready to go as far as getting those things made because they're a specific height and they have to match the chain link as well. They had them special ordered last time. It took a little bit longer than they had anticipated. They took about 4 weeks instead of 2. So it might be a little bit longer, but it's all underway. We're just waiting on them to install. And then as far as the resident that was connected to that property, we have still not heard back from them. So it's very likely that they may not do anything about it, but hopefully they can contact their insurance company and possibly repair the fence, the green portion of that fence that's not on the district site.
Okay. Agenda item 8, Parks Committee. You got 3 minutes.
Oh, what do we have? Okay. Number 1, update on park planning process. Again, the advisory committee is currently working with Virginity on the draft park plan. We are still hoping to have a draft ready for the public and the board to review in May, and then hopefully have it be in a position to bring it forward for recommended approval at the June board meeting. The results of the second survey were posted on the website and also emailed out. I emailed a link to the board as well to be able to review those. Number 2.
We talked about that one. Remember how the second swing broke?
Yeah.
Right after y'all had the first quote approved. So instead of moving forward with bringing up the height and replacing the one swing you've already approved, an additional swing broke. The play, I forget her title, playground and lady specialist is gonna come out and take a look and see if it's the chains, that the age of the chains, because you had 2 chains break and they've all stretched out, to see if the swings could all use new chains or new swings before we move forward with the replacement of the one and spending funds on that. And then if we need to redirect the funds to a full swing replacement, not the structure, just the swings themselves, then we'll do so.
Thank you. Did you want to talk about 3 as
Yeah,
well?
London Lane's tap installation is complete. I think Megan is very happy with her spigot. That entire project is complete, nothing there. And then as far as the grant, we will not hear back on the grant until mid-May. So we might have an update by the next board meeting, we might not. But we should be hearing back by mid-May, who was awarded and who was not. So if we have an update for you, then we'll put it on the agenda.
Okay. And B, the Information Management Committee.
We don't have anything.
I don't have anything this month.
Okay, the Security Committee. The Security Committee, we've met a couple of times since the last meeting. We're going to meet again, I think, next week. And we're looking at reaching out to...
Different precincts and different law
Yes.
enforcement providers in the area.
Yes. Okay. Linda, was there anything else that you wanted to add about the Security Committee meetings?
Nope.
Okay. 9, new business, amendment of the district rate order. And this has been a bear.
Madam President, do you want me to tackle this? Or do
Please,
you want me to-
please tackle this, because I'm going to have questions too.
Okay, very well.
Yeah.
Pursuant to communications I've had with Ms. Frankie, she drafted some revisions to the rate order, and in front of you, separate from your main packet, you'll have a little handout here that does have the redlining in it. I'm sorry for all the back and forth trying to get you all a clean copy, but we converted it from PDF to Word, back to PDF, and then back to Word, and suffice it to say, the computers were not particularly pleased about it. I think, I don't want to speak on your behalf, Ms. Frankie, so if I'm misstating anything,
Okay.
please correct me, but
I'm reading the wrong thing.
one of the revisions that you made is to account for the adjustment to the fire services fee. And that's probably the easiest
Yes.
fix on here, quite frankly, was just to adjust that. One of the other more substantive recommendations or revisions that you were wanting is to hold property owners, landlords essentially, responsible for the unpaid invoices for services of their tenants. Am I misstating that intent?
Just the fire and the basic service for the trash and the fire protection.
Yeah, so my advice is to not put that into
Okay.
your rate order. There's a prohibition in the PUC rules, in Chapter 24 of the PUC rules, that applies to IOUs, which is investor-owned utilities. There's a provision in Chapter 552 of the local government code, which applies to municipally owned utilities, think Austin Energy types. But there's no correlation for MUDs, so I just want to put that premise out there before I explain why I don't think this is a good idea. Those 2 statutes that are the rules, the PUC rules, and the statute that applies to cities prohibit exactly this. You
Okay.
can't. They specifically prohibit those types of entities from this type of practice, requiring anybody to either guarantee a resident's bill or to otherwise be responsible financially should they fail to pay for a service. There is no corresponding statute I can point to that applies for MUDs. They're accepted from the rules of Chapter 24, and that 552 doesn't apply to MUDs either. But I will say, as a best practice, I would encourage you to follow along that path that the PUC rules provide as far, and the Chapter 552 as far as that prohibition is concerned. So there's also a common law concept of contracting and equiting, and I think if you were to put this in front of 5 attorneys, which I did this week, across the board, they would encourage you to stick to the pattern that's established for IOUs and for municipally owned utilities in statute and in the rules. I can't, as with the question about putting the bills on the deed restriction fines on the water bill, you can't point to any statute that says you can or can't do it. It just doesn't exist.
Okay.
So, I can't tell you that it's illegal per se, because it's not. But again, just as a matter of best practice, I discourage you from doing this.
Okay, that's fine. Let's go into the next parts.
Okay.
And let me just preface this by, when I was going through this, I was thinking about all of the things that have happened in the last year that we've had to deal with, and try to incorporate that into the rate order. And then what you're coming back with is, you don't need to do that, you already have the authority. And I remember, I sure wish I had a general counsel that was willing to speak up and provide some guidance when we were struggling with how to address something.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that that's going on now. The other thing that I did was I looked at all of the fees, and a lot of the fees were just flat. $25 here, and I went to Mackenzie and asked her, said, how much does this cost? And the cost wasn't going to be covered. So I tried to move to cost plus a fee, meaning the members, the resident is going to pay whatever it costs us, and then there's a fee for us to do it, if that makes any sense. So we're never going to have to look at, 5 years from now, how much does it cost to do a meter check, whatever. We know how much it is, and then there's just going to be a flat fee on top of that. So I'm trying to, and the other thing that I was surprised to see is that all the commercial accounts pay the lowest residential rate for their water, which I don't think is appropriate. I think they need to be paying a higher rate than the absolutely lowest rate that we have. So keep going. So that was just the high level of what I was attempting to do when I looked over this.
Okay, very well. The other substantive revision that Ms. Frankie was indicating she'd like to make was to strike all the provisions that apply to new connections, basically, applications for new connections. Even though y'all are built out, I recommend you leave that alone and leave it in there. There's always, a possibility that somebody could come along and want to develop a new lot. I've got it going on in Andersonville down the road, and it's just, you just never know. So I'd encourage you to leave that alone. Let's see. Flipping over to page 7 of that draft here, I recommend leaving the park development fees in for the exact same reason. You just never know what's going to come along. You made some revisions to calculate. We basically redid the formula for determining how to determine winter averaging, basically, whenever they don't have sufficient billing history for winter averaging.
Right.
And so basically you kind of simplified that to basically provide that if they don't have that history for December, January, February, then it'll be calculated based on 10,000 gallons of water use. I think that's perfectly fine. Moving right along. Let's see. Did have the revisions to those rates as far as the hydrant meter fee. And remind me, that was part of the correspondence from the fire department. Is that right? Cedar Park. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see.
On page 12.
Yes, ma'am. Page 12, you considered putting some language in there to define tampering. We've had a couple instances lately where folks have basically inhibited the district's general manager and operators from accessing meters. That is absolutely illegal. It's a crime under Chapter 49 of the government code. The water code. I know it's here acknowledging that you've committed a crime by nodding your head. Okay, you're just waving at me for fun? Okay, cool. So it's absolutely a crime, and tampering is already defined under the law as well. So, when you've got something that's already in statute, there's no real reason to double up unless you just really want to drive that point home. So what I recommend is that we strike that and just put that little tail end down there, which is what I added. Yeah. So kind of took what you put in there, but recommend not putting definitions of tampering or interfering because it's provided under statute.
Okay.
Let's see, added a provision stating that water adjustments won't be made for leaks inside the house, such as running toilets, faucets. I think that's perfectly acceptable. You made some revisions to, let's see, the testing fee, well, there's no, a meter testing fee, excuse me. And,
Well, in 14, I said that you can only have one payment plan
right.
a year.
And I don't see any issue with that as well, or either, I should say. Let's see, I had another one where I've recommended not putting in there. Suspected water leaks, you know, while I certainly agree with the sentiment, you've already got the authority to disconnect in the event that you got a suspected leak anyway.
Okay.
So, you know, again, it's just kind of one of those things that you've already got that authority under PUCTCEQ rules and Chapter 49. So it's just kind of a, if it ain't broke, don't fix it type
Okay.
situation there. And then last but not least, on page 15, same issue as far as charging landlords, tenants. You know, so the termination notice is very specific. What you have to put in a termination notice is very specific if you are an IOU under Chapter 24 of the PUC rules, and you've got about 15 things you got to put in there. Same with municipally owned utilities, but as with, you know, the issue of the charging landlords for their tenants' bills, there's just no statute we can point to that makes that applicable to MUDs. But I do recommend as a best practice, though, that you do provide some kind of buffer for folks when you're providing them a notice of termination. If you've been using 15 days, I recommend sticking to it. I just think it's fair and equitable.
Oh, no. Right here.
What? I'm
The
sorry.
right of the hearing. I need to
Oh, the hearing.
understand the hearing.
Yeah, so again, that's tracking the PUC rules, which again, don't apply to us, but it absolutely requires a hearing for those types of utilities. And so, you know, again, this is a best practice. I recommend you do it because it's a best practice, and I think it's very common. I could walk you over to 10 different MUDs right now that provide some level of a hearing. But if I recall correctly, that hearing process that again is applied to those other types of utilities, it doesn't have to be anything special. It doesn't have to be the full board. It doesn't have to be a subcommittee. It could be one person. It could be your general manager. It doesn't matter. It's up to the board to decide who that is.
Okay.
Y'all have kind of already operated, I think, in general with stuff like this as far as like coming to the DRC traditionally.
Right.
And last month, we didn't have DRC, so you came to the full board. You know, I would posit to you that unless you've got, you know, a litany of these things adding up, that you just have people come to the board and you've all got the same information at the same time.
Okay. That's what I wanted to understand.
All right. Same thing on the chapter or page 16. I wouldn't recommend striking that the notice part. Let's see. You had a provision about requiring the customer to pay check which is dishonored and increased amount to what the bank charges the district plus $25. It's certainly not inequitable in any way. The fee will not be less than $45. Again, I think that's perfectly fine. You're recouping the district's costs there.
Right.
You have provision about deferred payment plans that go into default that result in the termination of services. And added that accounts that defaulted on deferred payment plans will not be eligible for alternative payment plans in the future without board approval. And again, I don't see any issue with that. Let's see. I think that's the most substantive revisions. The rest of it are pretty straightforward and or non-substantive.
Okay.
So this is your agenda item, so I will not answer questions on the revisions except for to opine on their legality if anybody has questions to that effect.
Okay. So let me see if I move that we before I do the fees that we needed to address were updated in here, correct?
I believe so.
That's right.
And were they the fire fees or were they the water?
Firefighter.
The fire.
They were the fire fee. Okay.
That was the most pressing one.
Okay. So I move that
Madam
we.
President,
I'm sorry.
I need to remind you to provide that opportunity to any other
Okay,
directors.
well,
I might
it
just
was-
solicit.
I know, but it was my agenda item.
I know, but you follow the rules just like everybody else.
Okay, well, it was going to be complicated, that's why I was going to try to do it.
Well, I'm
Okay,
sorry, you voted on the
okay,
rules, so
okay.
you might see if there's a
Somebody-
motion from your other directors
Yeah,
perhaps.
I need a motion from somebody to,
I'll make the motion.
Yeah, okay.
I motion that we present the rate order with the recommended changes from Zach, so that we can see what it would look like with all those changes. You went through a whole lot really fast.
Just to be clear, those are not my recommended changes. I didn't draft those
No, you
revisions.
said like, I recommend you don't
Right,
strike
right.
this.
Okay, I just want to
or
make
do
sure,
strike
just want to make
that.
sure we're talking
Yeah.
about the same
Yeah,
thing.
those, what he just suggested, because with that many and that fast, I can't keep up.
Sure.
So if we could see, so my motion is to prepare the rate order with Zach's suggested shoulds and should nots, and then let us look at it for one final time, and then move forward to approve it.
Okay. Can I have a second? Second, okay. Art, do you have any questions?
No, I agree, it's a busy form.
It's horrible.
It
You
is.
know, I read some other rate orders online and it's like, this one's just horrible. Horribly.
Did you have insomnia or something?
No, well, anyway, so, yeah, I mean, in
Yeah,
fact, I told
I need it
Suzanne.
all cleaned up so I can
Yeah.
review it one more time.
Okay, anything else that you wanted to add there? Art?
No.
Okay, Linda, did you want me to add anything?
I do, I have just a few things on, and unfortunately, when I reviewed it, all the pages were number 12, but it's under the section called TAPS. It's item number E, problems found to be on the customer side. Can we change that to the customer pays the actual cost? It's more appropriate here because the invoicing for this activity varies so significantly depending on how many techs are dispatched and how long they stay.
What page is that?
All of mine say page
Oh.
12.
Yeah, I know that
You said
one.
it's under TAPS.
It's under TAPS,
And how
item
far-
number E,
Number E, how many?
problems found to be on the district, on the customer side.
C and E,
I
D.
see a 1.
Okay.
You know, it was TAPS and then there was a whole bunch removed about new connections.
Do you have a
Okay.
physical
So keep
copy
going
of that?
down.
That would explain that, okay.
going
You have
down.
it, Suzanne?
Well, I think it's on page, actually.
Well,
The real page 12.
The real page 12, there you go, where'd you go there?
I turned it off.
And which item, I'm sorry, Ms. Fogg,
Item
number E?
E.
Okay.
Problems found to be on the customer side. My question is, can we write that so the customer pays the actual cost of that service?
This just doesn't line up.
Yeah, I know.
I can, you know, this is totally a policy question for y'all to decide, so there's no wrong answer here. So
Yeah.
This is for y'all to
Can
decide.
the rate order can do that, actual cost, instead of a flat number fee?
Yeah,
Because this one really does, and it's really sad to charge somebody $250 when the cost from Infomart was only $90.
okay,
I'd rather do actual cost on this,
okay,
if
okay.
that's okay. And then F, on number F, and I didn't write what that paragraph was, but it had something to do with taxes. I was going to suggest we strike this paragraph because, as I recall, Bill Flickinger explained that the collection of past due taxes is somehow contractually handled by the counties who collect them.
Yeah, I concur with that.
Really?
F on, I don't know what page.
Okay.
N.
We will probably follow up with you, Ms. Fogg, just to get this in writing, make sure we're
Okay.
accurately reflecting the revisions you're requesting.
But that,
But when
F
we
would have
spend
been
it,
just a
scrap
strike. N, suspected water leaks. Communication with the account holder can be established, and I don't know what that next word is. The status of the suspected leak, water leak. I'm not really sure what that's trying to do for us. I'm sure there's a typo here, and I just don't understand what the word's supposed to be. It's number N on page 12.
Okay,
ASSENTATION.
Assumption.
assumption.
Communication with the account holder can be established and something, the status of the suspected leak. I don't know what's going on.
Okay,
Well, we need to figure out what N is supposed to do and then fix the words so that it does that.
I think it's a.
Okay.
It's supposed to be, can be established.
yes,
I
yeah.
think it's the-
Communication established?
It already says that. Communication with the account holder can be established and something.
Status of it.
I'll send it, how about if I
Yeah,
just send it to Suzanne and let her
Yeah,
figure that out?
Yeah.
Okay, Megan, do you have anything
Wait,
to
I'm
add?
not done.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. IV, billing delinquent accounts, partial payments, and disconnection of service. Missing in this little paragraph on the rate order is missing the automatic $40 fee added to accounts that make the disconnection list, whether they are disconnected or not.
Okay.
We need to put that in there if we're going to keep doing it.
Okay, yeah, again, I think if you could put that in writing for us, we'll address that. We'll send you back a draft to make sure that we're accurately reflecting what you're looking for there, Ms. Fobb. But so far, I haven't heard anything that doesn't make sense or, is
Right,
otherwise.
And I do have one question, and this is my final one on this. It's under a section called A. Is the change to replace the words deed violations with assessed fees? Is the rate order now has the language to put deed violation fees on the water bill? That's been removed. I'm wondering, my question is putting assessed fees on the water bill the same thing as putting, is it the same thing with just a new name?
I think you put that in there.
No.
Because I looked at that and I'm going, I don't remember that.
So if the question is this a backdoor way to put deed restriction fines on your water bill?
Not a backdoor way.
Okay.
Not a backdoor way.
Okay.
Just a change in the wording.
No.
And because I'm used to seeing in the rate order that those deed violation fines would be
Do go
there,
on
and
there.
I did notice that it is missing.
Right,
Which
right.
is my hope that it's missing.
Right, and Ms. Frankie had gone through and struck those. So
Good.
those are
Right.
Those are gone.
Yeah.
So is it safe for me to say then that the plan is to no longer put deed violation fines on the water bill?
That's what I heard y'all say last
Yes,
month.
yes,
That's what I got from the
Okay,
conversation.
that's all I needed on that one, there's no
Okay,
change.
Okay, Megan, did you have anything?
Yeah, I do. Okay, so on page 9, and hopefully these are,
Yeah,
Real?
this
that's
is
what
the,
we got.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, 9.1B, towards the bottom, the basic service fee. I couldn't quite understand what the intention was with the strikeout with the 25, because then it was replaced with 25. So I was curious if you were intending for that to be a flat fee, in which case the remainder of the sentence should be deleted, or if there was something else intended there.
Okay, so where are we?
Just looking right here.
Yeah, I think I was not making any changes there.
Okay,
Yeah,
so, okay.
yeah, and unfortunately it was stupid and it's like, okay, you're making a change and
Oh,
you're
yeah.
undoing your change and
I hate
you
that.
still have a change.
I hate track changes. Yes, okay. All right, so page, all right, so basically with the stuff that relates to the meter checks and stuff, which is, I think, maybe page 12G, meter read, rechecks, leak billing adjustments. My overarching question is, do you feel like you have addressed, or maybe I missed it somewhere else in this document, some of the issues that we've been dealing with when looking at the bills and invoices and the work orders from Infomark, where it's a question of, okay, who pays for this? Do we pay for this? Does
Right.
Infomark pay, does district pay for this? Does the customer pay for it? So I guess some of the specific questions I had is, do you feel like this addresses, like, does the language that you have in here for the meter check cover what happens when a customer calls Infomark to investigate a leak before calling a plumber? So, like, what do we, because there have been instances where they'll say, oh, we need you to come out, and Infomark will go out, and then it's like, oh, well, you have to call a plumber. And
They
so,
always claim they have one.
right, so how are we handling those incidences? What we do if the plumber says that it's on the district's side, but then the district comes out and says, no, it's not, it's on your side. How do we bill for that time? How does it change if it's an after hours versus normal?
So can I just
Yes,
interrupt
absolutely.
briefly? So I think y'all have kind of a pattern here of overcomplicating things. It's not just with your rate order and not with, the instances that you're talking about.
Yes.
A lot of stuff that I've seen
Yeah,
is just overly complicated. The reality is, if you have to call out your general manager to address an issue. I don't care whose side on it is, the district's incurring cost. And so it's up to the district to decide if they're going to charge the customer, whether there was an issue on their side of the meter or not. If you come out from the general manager's district's general manager comes out, that's a cost to the district. And so if y'all want to assess those fines to the customer, you can. If you don't want to, if it finds out, it's on the district side, you don't have to.
Yeah.
So, it's just really hard to legislate every possible scenario that could come up, And
Yes.
so, I would encourage you probably more than likely to follow Infomark's, services
It is covered
agreement.
though, we did cover it under.
Did you cover it? Okay.
Page 4 additional charges, we bumped that trip fees to 250, we simplified the paragraph to state specifically
Okay.
water and wastewater lines, because the previous one, it was strictly tap,
Yeah.
not the lines.
Yeah.
So we clarified that to make it better to understand moving forward, but that might be what Linda was
That's-
suggesting, to
yeah,
make
actual
it,
cost.
instead of
Yeah.
250,
Okay.
the trip cost, which would be this, we would call it, the language should probably be the total cost of the service call.
Right.
Instead of work order, doesn't sound very well, but service call, because then we would just take the work order that the district is gonna be paying for and apply that to the residents. And so what we'll do is in our system, we'll just put notes in that say, tell customers if they call that they're gonna be assessed a fee. We can't guarantee what the amount will be though. So,
Okay. That's perfect, yeah, and the solution can be super elegant like that, I didn't mean to but these are the issues that we keep,
we've had common issues with this.
yeah,
over
we
the
keep
last
them,
several
and it's like,
months.
well, what do we do here, and what is it, so yes, having a really elegant
Yeah,
solution like
we
that
tried
is.
it.
They were on top of that.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me just make sure I didn't catch anything else. The question, the typo, just in case you want to annotate where it is, that Director Fobb noted is on page 14H, the last,
It's absentation.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a word, but I'm
I
not
confess
sure
I
if it's
saw
there.
that, but was gonna let you explain. I wasn't trying to crawl inside anybody's brain there.
Okay, is that it?
The only other thing I have a question about is, and this may not be the place for it, but, we have had issues come up a couple of times where we've talked about as a board what we do regarding, we're doing the meter switch outs, and if people are requesting, they want their, and I don't know if
If they don't want the new meter.
if they don't want the new meter, if they want their analog meter back. And so there's the section in here about we have the authority to replace it with whatever. So that may be totally adequate to cover
Yeah.
the issue, but
Yeah. Okay, Beth, did you have any questions or comments?
No, the one issue I had has already been resolved.
Okay. My comment is that I think that we should go ahead and pass Linda's motion, but we should also do another second motion, which is we keep the existing as it is, and all we do is change the fire order, because we need to get the fire order.
Yeah, we've already decided that
Yeah.
that would be the first thing we need to update.
Okay, so let's go.
Wait, I just had one quick question. It was at the top, and this is something I read earlier. Is the district required to submit a Class C rate change application to the PUC for the changes?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and call the vote.
Okay, Director Jones,
Yes.
Director Vito,
yes.
Director Frankie,
Yes.
Director Fobb,
Yes.
Director Madrano.
Yes.
Ayes have it, Madam President.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm gonna make a motion. Okay, I make a motion that we,
Implement the new fire protection rate of 2758.
yes,
That was creepy.
yeah, okay.
ESP going on there.
Okay, so, I need a second.
Okay, make the statement again?
Okay.
Do you want me to or can I?
Yeah, okay, go ahead, make it.
Go ahead.
She wants you to move forward with implementing the new fire protection rate for the district of 2758.
Oh, Chelsea, yeah, yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
Is that a second, Art?
Oh, is that a second?
Was that your
Catherine made the motion, he seconded.
You're seconded, okay.
yeah, okay,
Sorry, I should have said I second that.
okay. Beth, do you have any questions? Megan, do you have any questions?
No.
I don't have any questions. Linda, do you have any questions?
What's the increase?
It's a less than $1, I believe. It's currently 26 and some change.
You had wanted for a whole year, you wanted to pick up a part of this fee. Can we not absorb the cost? And not make that change separately? Can we absorb that cost for one more month?
The rate was $26.25 last year.
$27.58.
So it's about $1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a quarter.
Yeah.
Can we do that?
Well, you're obligated by your contract to pay the City of Cedar Park Fire Department.
No, I said, can we afford to pick up that $1.25 for 1 month and pay it for the district, the
You've
new
already
rate?
been paying it.
But we have been paying, so we can afford it.
Well, it happens like this every year. It happens where
Yeah.
the rate's already changed, but then you don't get the physical paper stating the rate change.
I'm just saying, rather than having to publish a change now,
You
and
don't
then
have to publish it.
we don't have to publish it?
No, ma'am.
It's just gonna show up on the bill?
That's right.
Yeah, okay. Art, do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Okay, let's call the vote.
Director Pedrana.
Yes.
Director Franklin.
Yes.
Director Bob.
Yes.
Director Vito.
Yes.
Director Jones.
Yes.
Ayes have it, Madam President.
Okay, new business, 9B, cybersecurity training.
So be Ms. McCullough.
In the packet that I handed out, you should have a memo. I also mailed this out in an email to you guys. It's cybersecurity training. I'm assuming that y'all did this in the past and are required to do it. The law changed and said that those elected officials or appointed officials who have access to a government computer system or database and use a computer to perform at least 25% of their duties are the only people that are now required to do the cybersecurity training. So we are going to leave it up to each individual director to decide if that applies to you, whether you use a computer 25% or less than 25%. There's 2 verifications attached to that memo. I just need to get back one. Whether you do feel like you use it and you've taken the test and taken the cybersecurity training, or you don't feel like you use a computer for district business for more than 25% of your time.
Okay.
So, and I need to get those back by June 10th. I have to file with the Department of Information Resources that you're all in compliance. So I'll leave it on the agenda until I get everybody's. So
Okay.
you can email it to me, that's fine. Or you can give it to me at the meeting if you're not going to take the.
Okay, 9C, lead and copper rule.
Yes, Madam President, you'll have, again, a standalone memorandum. It looks like this. It's got a nice little chart on the front of it. This is not really, let me flip over here real quick. So the EPA on January 15th published final rules that amended the lead and copper rule revisions, or excuse me, the lead and copper rules. In short, these revisions are intended to get lead out of drinking water. Go figure. It has several different requirements of public water systems. It provides a new trigger level, as the phrase they use, at 10 parts per billion. If a water system reaches that amount, then they have to take additional treatment, monitoring, and public notification actions. Requires public water systems to investigate and catalog public and private lines that are lead service lines, LSLs, to inventory them and then to make those records publicly available. It requires the public water supply to develop an LSL replacement plan by your compliance deadline, which is going to be October 16th of 2024. The other big stuff. Oh yeah, requires public water systems to monitor for lead at elementary schools and child care facilities. I'm not sure, still learning my geography around here, but I've seen some at least close by. I'm not sure if they're in the district or not. But and requires notification within 24 hours if the system exceeds any of the levels that are provided above. I'm not entirely sure, what to tell you how this will work given your relationship with an outside provider, but suffice it to say, I think it's going to take some coordination with the city to see exactly what their expectations are of us and vice versa. So for now, I think this is just kind of FYI.
3 daycares in our neighborhood.
I'm sorry?
We have 3 daycares.
3 daycares. Okay, I thought I'd seen some nearby, so there you go. That's point in case then. But for now, FYI, but probably will connect with her and then with the city, see what they're doing on their end, and again, see what the expectations are on both sides.
So there's no action?
As of right now, no, ma'am. Again, we're still kind of feeling this out to see exactly how this is going to work. Y'all are not unique in that, you get water ultimately from another place, another provider. So we're trying to figure out how this is going to work. It's kind of like I don't know if y'all ever talked about OWIA, that 2018 federal bill that requires you to do this emergency response plan and whatnot. Those kind of same issues, like everybody's looking at each other going, well, who acts first, But those things all played out in the end. So we'll get there. It's just kind of a new rule right now. We're going to see exactly what our obligations are going to be.
Okay.
That's all I had on that one.
9D, enforcement of deed restrictions relating to overnight parking. And Linda, this was yours, so
It was.
go ahead.
The HOA sections in the district, Lakeline Oaks, Hunters Glen 1, and Valente Hills, have all opted out of enforcing this restriction because of the difficulty or cost to enforce. Anderson Mill West sections 1 through 6 do not have any restrictions for parking anything in the street at any time. Of the 1,931 properties receiving water services, 1,541 of them can park in the street at any time without an impact to the value of property. Of the remaining 390 properties in the district where overnight street parking is enforced, Sage captures on average 20 cars per month parking in the street overnight. The cost to the district is $3,387 each month for night tours, or $170 per car. In 2021, we paid Sage $40,644 in base fees for performing the night tours 23 times. Holiday moratoriums and inclement weather is why the full 26 tours were not performed, although that is what is stipulated in the contract. The impact to property values when cars park in the street overnight or at any time is nil. The fact is demonstrated in property tax appraisals records when comparing the sections where it is not a violation or not enforced to the sections where it is. The assessed taxable values of homes in the entire district increased at exactly the same percentage every year. This year, the legally allowed maximum of 10% was applied to assessed values without regard for what's parked in the street or even the condition of the home for that matter. The overnight street parking has any impact on property values is a false narrative, and the cost to enforce it is not commensurate with any return value. That some people like it enforced is not reason enough to continue to do it. It is fiscally irresponsible to impose the expense on 1,541 property owners when it has no bearing on property values and when many more property owners do not want it enforced than do. The base fee in Fern Bluff's contract with Sage for 2 day tours per month covering 1,900 properties is only $900 a month, or 47 cents per property. Using that as a basis for renegotiation, the base fee for 1,546 properties can be reduced to $726 per month, and by eliminating the unnecessary night tours, can reduce the annual cost of deed enforcement from $65,000 per year to a mere $8,712 per year. That's savings of $56,288 that could be used to repair the infrastructure.
Okay.
That's my take on street parking.
Okay. Okay, that's it then. Okay, you're not making a motion?
I make a yeah, I'd like to.
Okay.
I'd like to
talk. Yeah.
Let me make a motion, then we'll have discussion. I'd like to make a motion that we survey the properties with the restriction and determine if they actually want it enforced by giving them the cost of enforcement and any alternatives that they may have. And let those people who actually have the restriction determine whether or not it's worth doing. That would be my motion.
So that would go to the people that still enforce overnight parking.
The 390 homes that do.
I think there's more that needs to be involved in that they need to understand what can happen if we do have parking on the street.
Okay, let's not get the cart before the horse. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So, Art, you've got 2 minutes.
Do I have what?
3 minutes.
I'm sorry, 3.
Well, I think we should look at the data, and if it isn't, it's not cost feasible, and the survey comes back and says they really don't care, or they don't want it. Now, I did go out on a tour with them, and most people were appreciative of the night tours. They did like the fact that, you know, they reviewed overnight parking. But I mean, if we're spending that kind of money, right, we should get a bang for the buck. I think it has to be efficient and feasible for us, so I think we should look at the data.
Okay. Beth, what did you have?
Well, mine is not just the data, it's on protecting our kids, but it's the home values, they will go down. People can't get out of the driveway, but one thing I really want to help you understand is that one of the reasons why we don't park in the street is that children under the age of 15, their visual and their brain, this is what my degree is in, David, but they don't develop enough to understand that if there's a parked car there and they're playing behind it and there's a car coming, they don't understand that they can't run out. They're automatically going to run in the street. There is a huge deal in America for streets in America that are unsafe. And one of the big things is cars parked in the street. Because kids, you can't see them when you're driving. And in our neighborhoods, the streets are smaller. You want to keep them safe. And kids are going to run out behind a parked car. They will run out. And it's not if, it's when. And if you look at how many children have died this year alone from cars have been parked and they run out in the street, it's over 1,000. So I just want people to realize that we have a lot of children in our neighborhoods. A lot of young children that play in the streets. I come around the corner every day in our neighborhood and there's children playing in the street. That's what I have to say.
Okay. Megan, did you have anything to offer?
Yeah, I am certainly always for communicating with residents and getting feedback from residents on things like this. I guess one of the things I'm curious about is if those who, Mr. Evans, Sage, those who work in other districts doing deed restriction enforcement, are there options to do the enforcement of this particular deed restriction differently than by doing a night tour?
Sage is probably better qualified to answer that than I am. I mean, I'm not in the deed restriction enforcement business per se.
Yeah.
You know, I just handle the legal side of it. So, you know,
Right.
as far as procedure is concerned, they might have some better insight.
Like a complaint-based
Yeah.
kind of thing instead of doing the night tours, or do you, I don't know if you have anything.
There are other options, but it's not up to Sage to decide how you enforce it. It's up to your committee and board.
Yeah, I'm just looking for information so that I can make the best decision. And if there are alternatives that we could think about and consider that would be less costly but still give us the same outcome, or, you know, just as we try to think through this as a board.
Well, one of the things that, let me go ahead and go back and make a correction to the numbers. We have not been paid for night tours. We have been paid for day tours. We have been performing night tours for the district, but we haven't been paid for night tours. So that is not costing you.
Second thing, the number is stated on the night tours. I'm not sure exactly where she got the numbers, but I purposely counted houses on the map and then made sure of that. And it is slightly different, but it's still different. Third, if you go back to 2019, shortly after we started, what she stated is 20 cars per month. That's where we're at now. When we started in early 19, there were 40, 50, 60 cars. And when you spread that out over those narrow streets, that made a huge difference. So the third thing is the committee and us are looking at options. So we'll leave that to the committee to discuss, but there are options always available.
And then third, the correction on the firm health numbers, they're incorrect. So it's not the numbers. So
Okay.
the whole information, if you're looking at numbers and cost on that information, the numbers are off. Of what it's costing.
Okay, so my comment on this issue is it's involved in the whole reorganization of deed enforcement that's going on, that the DRC committee is working on right now. And so I think it's a little premature to at this point, for this motion. So that's all I'm going to say. Okay, so let's go ahead and call the vote.
Director Jones?
No, unless you include in there what can happen with kids. To be honest.
Director Duda?
No.
Director Ranky?
No.
Director Cobb?
Yes.
Director Majano?
Yeah, I want to look at the numbers. I want to see what we're getting.
Madam President, the vote's 2-3, the motion fails.
Okay. 9E, stage contract. So I apologize that it's not ready for prime time. We've discussed it ad nauseum, and the DRC committee will have something very shortly this next week to Zach
No, actually, you won't.
to somebody else. Isn't it going to one of your coworkers?
No, ma'am.
Oh, it's
It's not
just,
going to McGinnis Lockridge at all.
oh, okay. Well, then it's just going to come to the board next month.
Y'all can do that. You
Yeah.
can hire an attorney. That's.
Right, that's what we're gonna do.
McGinnis will not touch it.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, so that's all there is to discuss on that one. So we will have something that will come to the board next month then. Okay. Okay, 9F, amendment to the district rules. Okay, so. Okay.
Yeah, page 30 of that packet.
32?
Yeah, the resolution adopting the revisions, should the board choose to do so, starts on 30, but then the actual substantive changes,
okay.
you start on 32.
Okay. Okay, so this was my agenda item, so I will talk about it briefly. Basically, what I did was I put together some additional rules that I wanted to incorporate into the meeting, and Zach and et al. Did a really nice job of adding all of my one or two sentences and putting them very nicely into the whole rules. So the big issue, the big changes that I made, and they've all been redlined, is about the board's coming, making sure that we come in early and we come in through the front door. The public comes in through the side door. The constable is responsible for letting the public in. And there's then, I'm hoping everybody's read this. Then I put in a whole bunch of stuff about using our devices. I put my devices on airplane mode, in anticipation that was going to be happening today. And then that we're all going to use our iPads for our note-taking and accessing. I'm hoping that we're not going to have all this paper next month, that we're all going to be accessing everything on our iPads. So I'm trying to think, is there anything else that...
You also had revisions about the recording equipment.
Right, so Infomark is going to be responsible for making sure that the recording equipment is up and running, and they're going to be running that. And then, I think the the biggest one was section 413, which was the use of use of technology during the meetings. So, so I'm gonna, I'm not allowed to do that.
You could pause and see if there's a motion, and if there's not, then you've got that right. under your rules.
Okay, does somebody want to make a motion on the new rules?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, great, thank you,
I
Linda.
make a motion that we adopt the amended rules of decorum, but I would like to offer a change
Sure.
first. So I'm going to pause that motion for a minute, Suzanne. On page 9, 4.13, director use of technology during meetings, directors are prohibited from speaking. That's actually why we're here. And speaking is not technology.
I think it was it number 9?
Page 9,
Which subsection are you looking at, Ms. Flynn?
4.13,
Yeah, and which subsection within?
A, I'm sorry, A.
For texting, emailing, speaking, or in any way, utilizing personalized.
Speaking.
Any kind. Oh, that should say speaking through, pardon me.
Okay, so that just needs to be fixed. So, here's my motion. Suzanne, I'm ready to do it again. I motion that the board adopt these amended rules of decorum, beginning with the next meeting and after I get an iPad. I don't have one.
Yeah, I know, I know, I didn't know that when
So
that
you don't have to
happened.
put that on there, but beginning with the next meeting. Do I need to repeat it?
No.
Okay, you got it.
Okay, I'll second that. Okay, Art, do you have any comments?
No.
Okay, Linda, do you have any more comments?
No.
I don't have any comments. Megan, do you have any comments?
No.
And Beth, do you have any comments?
No.
Okay, let's take the call.
Director Madrano?
Yes.
Okay.
Bosch?
Yes.
Director Franklin?
Yes.
Director Duda?
Yes.
Yes.
Harmony, Madam President, the ayes have it.
So, Mackenzie, I'm gonna have to get an iPad and a keyboard.
Yeah.
And one of those little pen things. Yeah.
Okay, so no physical board action next meeting?
That's what we're gonna try to do, yeah. Because I downloaded mine onto my pad, assuming that it wasn't gonna be the iPad.
If you change your mind, just let me know, like, the day before the meeting.
Yeah. Okay, agenda item 10, deed restriction committee. Update on the new deed restriction procedures and protocols. Okay. Let me find that. Has everybody,
Page 42, Madam President.
okay, 42.
Is it in the packet?
Yeah, it's at the back. 42.
This isn't the procedures. This is a resolution. That's B. Do we have an A?
Say that again?
Oops, I'm sorry, what's the question?
This, page 42 is 10B on the agenda. So we're on 10A. Is there paperwork for 10A?
Update on review. Well, you've got two different things. So A is an update on the review of the
Right.
deed restriction proposal.
That's where we are.
And then there's an
Okay.
actual resolution adopted.
Okay.
So maybe those are a little redundant.
Yeah,
But
okay.
either or.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna get an update first, right? And then we're gonna do
Yeah,
that.
okay, so I guess the update was that we've worked through and are going to present the resolution for a new deed enforcement policy. As you saw in the rate order, we took the whole fines off the water bill thing, and we're going to be implementing another process. We don't have all the details yet, but we're going to be going to something, a fining process that that does not sit on the water bill, is the best way to put it. And we're waiting for some feedback from Infomark on some HOA technology. I'll just leave it that way. That's the best way to put it. So, okay, so that's it. I think, I'm trying to think, was there, Jimmy and Diana, was there anything else that we needed to bring to the board? I think that's basically it.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, okay.
He's working on it.
Okay. Okay, so then when we go to 9B, the resolution really is at the meat of what it is where we're attempting to go. And I'm going to let you talk about the front end of it, because you put some really beautiful stuff at the front end of it, yeah.
Essentially, this is very similar to, if any of y'all have looked at Fern Bluff's order on how they handle this type of issue. So we kind of use that as a template and just groomed it a little bit. But essentially the recitals lay out the district's authority that's provided under Chapter 54 to enforce deed restrictions, as well as authority under Chapter 49 to adopt rules, district rules. And that same Chapter 49.004 also provides the maximum amount of civil penalties that can be assessed for violations of district rules. And Fern Bluff, if y'all have been following me around, you know that people hit the ceiling whenever they saw $20,000 maximum civil penalty on there. And if you were to look at section 27.031 of the Texas Government Code, you would see that the maximum jurisdiction for that court is $20,000. But suffice it to say, those are meant to give you the maximum amount of enforcement authority, but within reason. You know, I would assert to you that if this board wants to adopt these rules and then wants to go out and assess a $20,000 fine against somebody for parking in the street, you might be a little beyond reasonable at that point. So it's not what the intention is here. What happened in Fern Bluff is they had a business entity go in, pull the plug off of a fire hydrant and suck water out of their hydrant, and without any kind of backflow prevention, and there was just nothing that could be done about it. The sheriff's office wasn't really interested in getting terribly involved, and so the district didn't really have much that they could do about it other than file a civil suit. So they, kind of looked to me for some direction, and so this was kind of the solution that we came up with, was making sure that we've got something on the books that gives the district that maximum authority to go out and assess against any would-be violators of district rules. So just a little bit of background there for you. But this here is is specific to deed restriction enforcement. So the recitals also spell out that enforcing deed restriction and assessing civil penalties provides the cost-effective means of enforcing deed restrictions and helps sustain taxable property values. And so just kind of tracing the statute there. And then more substantively, do you want to talk about the substantive part?
Sure. So what we're trying to do is simplify the process, and we're going to move to what we call a door tag for what was the friendly letter. If you remember the current process is you got a friendly letter, and then you got another letter, and then you got a first violation. You got lots of notifications. Well over 95% of the first friendly letter solves the problem. It is a small handful of problem children in our community that have issues with the deed restrictions. And so by going to the door hanger, we're going to eliminate all of the postage and the cost, and totally reduce the cost. We're also going to, reduce the number of notices that we're doing and bring those to the board. Before we have a lot of notices going on. So we're going to, but if you haven't responded after a door hanger and 3 notifications, it's coming to the board, and then the board is going to take action. That's pretty much where we're going after that. So.
And will that action be adjudication?
Well, we don't know yet.
Well, what else is the option?
Well, right now what we have is we're looking at a fining process. We haven't worked out the details of how it's all going to, who's responsible for the monitoring and the record keeping, but the idea is that our hope is if we have a couple of, if it gets bad enough and we throw it over the fence, and a letter from the attorney, we're hoping is going to solve the problem. And then, because I honestly believe that we can keep it simple and we can have less paperwork and less letters going out, and I don't think we're gonna have a whole lot of trouble moving forward. Because like I said, it's a very small number of people that we're having problems with. So, okay, so, I need somebody to make a motion. I need somebody to make a motion.
I hear you.
Okay, you don't want to talk, okay. Okay,
What is this? What would I call it? A resolution?
Call this an order adopting district rules, or excuse me, adopting deed restrictions as district rules and implementing a violation notice and fine procedure.
Okay. I so move.
okay, I will second that. Okay, Beth, do you have any questions or comments?
I do not.
Okay, Megan, do you have any questions or comments? No. Linda, do you have any questions or comments?
I do.
Okay.
Section 54, or Texas Water Code 49004 allows the board to set reasonable civil penalties for the breach of any rule of the district and must be enforced by complaints filed in the appropriate court of jurisdiction. Section 54205 of the Water Code allows the district to adopt and enforce rules for 5 specific purposes only, all of them relating to water. There is no provision in the Water Code that allows the use of district rules to enforce the deed. Unlike home rule cities, which have all powers unless expressly taken away, MUDs can only exercise those powers expressly granted to them by the legislature and included in the Water Code or other specific law. Where in the law is a MUD expressly granted the power to turn deed restrictions into district rules?
Is that a question for me?
Yes, it is.
Chapter 54, section 54.237 gives MUD districts the specific authority to enforce deed restrictions.
Yes, to enforce the deed restrictions.
Correct.
But 54205 is explicit use of rules. So which one trumps which?
54.237 because it's the specific. You are a MUD. 54 is specific to MUDs. 49 is the general. It's applicable to all water districts.
Can you say that?
Yes. So when you're interpreting statute,
Yes.
if you look at the Code of the Statutory Interpretation Act, okay, so I think it's chapter 311 of the Government Code, I think. It has a list of rules you follow when you're interpreting statute. Okay, and it more or less follows common law rules, rules that courts have adopted over years, appellate courts, years and years, right? Years of court precedent. And the statute more or less adopted those common law rules and how you interpret statute. And one of those is that specific trumps the general, okay? So when you got specific statute in chapter 54, that's specific to MUDs,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Chapter 49 is not specific to MUDs, it's all water districts. So if this were a SUD or a WICKED, I would agree with your position, Ms. Fobb. But we're not, we're a MUD. We have specific legislation at 54.237 that does give a MUD this authority. So I understand your position, but I disagree.
Okay, so 54, I guess I must have wrote it down, 54.205 and 54.237 in the same section.
You have to be able to reconcile. That's another thing you look at in the Interpretation Act. You've got to be able to reconcile seemingly contradictory laws and crawl inside the legislature's head, essentially, is what the act requires you to do. And if you can get a logical, reasonable interpretation of one statute without negating the other, that's how a court is going to enforce that. And so that's exactly how I interpret 54 and 49 in this seeming contradiction. You got to read them together and also in context with surrounding law. And unfortunately for us, there's not a whole lot of surrounding law within those particular sections of statute. There's just not a whole lot there. So we don't really have a whole lot of context to look at. So again, you got to go to specific over general.
Even if it's not expressly granted
It is expressly granted
in 237.
in 54.237. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You done?
I am.
Okay, Art, do you have any questions? Okay, let's call the vote.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, I did have one little paragraph. These you did because you answered it in A. But what are the conflicting provisions that are being replaced by this order? Do we know?
It doesn't matter. I put those as a matter of due course in any resolution or any order where there might be anything in the district's, annals that show that, there could be some conflicting statute out there, or, order or resolution. So it's by default.
So do we have to?
Boilerplate.
Yeah. Do we have to remove the district rules which conflict with this?
No, because by putting that repealer provision in there, we've already done that.
So we want to leave
Like-
the
like-
district
like
rules
magic.
published on the website when this supersedes it?
No.
That's what I was
There's-
asking.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question then. It only repeals an order or resolution that is specific to this particular
Okay.
issue, right? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's going to be a little misleading. The district rules don't reflect this.
They don't have to.
Well, don't we want our customers to really understand how
I
we're
mean,
going to?
this y'all can put up on your website all day long. I mean, that's,
Sure.
yeah.
But
This
the
is-
other documents that contradict this, we wouldn't want to leave those up. would we?
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a housekeeping thing, I mean,
Yeah.
you go through and
Yes.
Well, it's important that the web be accurate.
no, I
Yeah.
don't disagree at all.
Yeah.
But again, that's a housekeeping issue.
Yeah. Okay. Let's call, Art, did you have anything? Okay, let's call the vote.
Director Madrona,
Yes.
Director Cobb,
I'm going to abstain. I think the policy inflicts more harm on the residents by misusing the district rules in order to impose civil penalties up to $20,000 on a resident for a deed violation. And although I appreciate your explanation, Zach, I have the same concern as Fern Bluff. It's just an open door, and that's just frightening.
Director Frankie,
Yes.
Director Duda,
Yes.
Director Jones.
Yes.
Okay, so 10C, I'm going to turn this over to you. Did you have anything?
I actually don't have anything, Madam President. We are in the process of drafting that petition still and reviewing all the exhibits that Sage provided. I do suspect that the scope of that lawsuit is going to expand based on incidents that occurred this past week. My hope is that we will have at least a draft ready by this time next month. And I suspect one of my cohorts in the litigation division will come over and brief at that point. But as soon as we've got something to report, they will be here, or one of my litigator associates. But in the meantime, that's all I've got.
Okay. And then 11 is the attorney's report?
Nothing outside the agenda, ma'am.
Okay. So, 12, next regular board meeting is May 18th. I have this recollection that I sent you something, put it on the next agenda, because, didn't I send something a year ago? Don't you remember we increased from, 3,000 to 15,000, the mud?
The over 65 and special needs
Right.
exemption?
Right, and I'm finding it on non-homestead properties that are rentals, and it's like, I don't think that was our
Oh,
intention.
but they could be registered with the county. The owner could register it as a homestead, and they just haven't caught up that
Well-
they're not living there.
Right, but I just wanted to put that on the agenda because I wanted just to clarify that what our intention was.
We can't control that.
Are you sure?
Y'all should debate this at the next
Yeah,
meeting.
I
You have an
agree.
agenda item.
Let me just clarify, what are you wanting on the agenda? Exemptions? Homestead
Dis-
exemptions?
Discussion of the homestead exemption.
Yes,
Okay, are you wanting to change it, or you just want to
We need to
clarify?
discuss how it's being used.
yeah. What our intention was. Yeah.
I've talked to Ms. Frankie about it. I'll get with you on that, Suzanne.
Yeah, okay, was there anything, that's the only thing that I know of that I wanted to make sure that got held. Okay. Nobody else has anything to add?
I will, but
Okay, well then, the meeting is adjourned.
I did have a question, holding Director Fee's office.
Yeah,
Is someone holding one of them there?
I might, hold on.
I'm missing 5532.
Yeah, maybe it got stuck in my paperwork here.
Just double check, make sure. I got it, it got stuck behind the other stuff.
Okay,
We're good.
okay.
Did we adjourn?
What? Yes,
Oh, we did. Okay.
As far as I know.
Is there anything that I need to sign?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Please don't leave.
Michael,
Did
you get-
signatures for you too?
okay, I'll stay. Did you get my email like right before 5?
I did not.
You've got more problems in there. There's some in that check register.
You'll CC me when you CC Zach, or you CC me to Zach about anything on the agenda.
Okay. Is that the only one? Okay.
These are the rules.
Okay. Only two? Only two?
What time? 3 hours?
Bring more.
So far, y'all have always had a full board.
Yeah.
That way, if I ever have anybody missing, I always can get my documents.
Ah,
The critical things for you.
yes. If you're organized.
I voted.
You did, I know. It's your prerogative. Okay, fair enough.
I will survive without my.
Okay, all right, well, let's say, if that's a question, let's talk, figure something out. Because we got things we can figure out.
How's your, did you actually finish moving?
Yes, yeah, we got relationship building things.
It always
It was
is.
our first move together,
That
so.
IKEA furniture.
Yeah, yeah. Just like, she was just getting out of law school, like she's supposed to be in law.
It's on the,
Hey, how are you doing?
We just got a bunch of cheap furniture everywhere, it's like moving.
Yeah, we bring it with us.
Yeah, yeah, so like we were like, donate, sell, everything. Couldn't find replacements. So we looked up things that were like grown up, adult furniture at 43 years old.
It's already. Yeah, they don't play on the street, right?
Oh my God, that's huge. That's huge.